To hot topics now, and French President Emmanuel Macron has gone into damage control after a video of him being shoved in the face by his wife Brigitte, I'm not actually sure how to pronounce her name, sent shockwaves around the world in a now viral video. The physical altercation was captured as the two prepared to disembark the presidential plane in Vietnam. Macron later addressing the moment, saying he and his wife were fooling around, saying everyone just needs to calm down. For their take, let's bring in founding director of Western Sydney Women, Amanda Rose, and Daily Telegraph journalist James Willis. Good morning to you. He says he's surprised at all the fuss. Are you surprised at all the fuss, Amanda?
So this relationship hasn't been normal from the beginning. People need to remember that she met him when she was 14, he was 15 years old, right? So there's a power imbalance from the very beginning. So I actually think this is concerning. I think people are seeing a side to their relationship that he might have been going through, behind the scenes, some bullying or behaviour that we wouldn't appreciate. Now, if that was reversed and that was a man who was considerably older and he literally just pushed with two hands and pushed his partner's face like that, that would be absolute outrage and we wouldn't let it go. So I don't think we should let this go simply because the victim here says no big deal. I think it is a big deal and it should be treated as such.
What do you reckon, James?
Well, I half agree with Amanda. I realise the relationship wasn't the most normal to begin with. She was his drama teacher at school. He wrote her love letters after school and they got together. But I think you can isolate this incident and just say that it was really, really inappropriate. And you're right, if it was the other way around, if it was Emmanuel Macron, doing that to his wife, he'd lose his job.
Yeah.
On the spot.
That's right, he would.
And the initial reaction to me indicated that this wasn't a joke or this wasn't playing around like he's claiming, like it was quite a serious fight behind the scenes. He didn't realise that he was on camera and his initial reaction said it all. So it's going to be one to watch. But I think certainly, if it was the other way round, there'd be calls for him to be removed as president because it's a very, very ugly incident. And the fact it was caught on camera is not good.
I know. So what happens now? It's really awkward, isn't it? It's a really strange situation.
Well, this is where we need people that would have commented if it was reversed need to not be hypocritical and actually stand up for him. So if it was to a woman, a lot of the feminists would be saying this is outrageous, we can't have a woman treated this way. Well, why is it any different because it's a man?
Yeah.
So we need the same outrage.
Moving on, and a London classroom has gone completely teacherless, ditching face-to-face learning for an entirely AI-led form of education. The principal of the school says the approach means students receive personalised support. Critics say it's going to ruin education as we know it. Oh, Amanda, is this the standing on the edge of the cliff or is this a good thing?
This is a private school too. So parents are paying a fortune for this school for them to say, don't worry, we're just going to get a robot to teach your children. So don't have a problem with AI being a tool that is used in education. They need to learn how to use it. They need to know the ethical way of implementing it into their education. But what you're doing is you're taking away that human connection. And we have data that tells us that the young people of today, their number one issue is lack of connection. So to actually then at school where they spend most of their time to say we're going to take away that human connection, that compassion, that understanding, which is what you need for personalised education, is you need individuals to understand you. This could end up an entire generation that aren't communicating with anyone, which leads to mental health problems.
Yeah, I think you remember your best teachers at school and you remember your worst teachers at school, and the reason for that is the way that they taught the class and the way that they, use the curriculum to come to life in their own way. And this feels like the new age version of when the teacher used to put the VCR on for a few hours to take a bit of a break. I think already our education standards are in the toilet. We've got real issues, particularly with young boys and reading. And so even though this might have good merits and they might think, look, we can do this from time to time, I don't think it's going to help kids long term to have this robotic learning of, where you're just clicking buttons or taking tests in front of a computer. So
we need more teachers, not less.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and the teachers are the ones that bring the learnings to life. Yeah.
And AI, so many people are so excited about AI, but people are also concerned. Working in companies, they're leaving AI companies because there are concerns about the lack of measures, the lack of regulation in this space.
Yeah, there is.
So,
There's a lack, and the government, let me tell you, people alerted government about this a long time ago. It's kind of like with Uber, with how we're going to regulate that industry. Any new industry, the government knew about it, and they need to do something about it because you've got IP issues, you've got people worrying about their jobs, and the job security,
and how the robots can take over.
Not only that, but it's also mind-numbing. Like, I realise it's helpful, but if you've now got people that say, write me this email or write me this brief, now from time to time that's fine, but you're not using your brain when you're sort of getting it to do everything. So there's a real middle ground here, I think.
Exactly. Finally, a study conducted by YouGov found 69% of Gen Z respondents use their oven or their dishwasher for storage, while 39% will take their washing home to their parents. Gen Z includes people who are up to 29 years of age. Amanda, whose fault is this?
I'd say the parents, especially if they're not doing their own washing. But that's separate to using their, say, stove or their dishwasher for storage, because that is very New York. So in small spaces, people will use their oven to store blankets or their dishwasher. So that's fine. But don't then go to your parents' house and say, because I'm using my oven for storage, you have to cook my food, or because I don't have a washing machine, you have to do my washing. So it's a balance. It's two different issues, I think, going on.
Quick word of warning just on this. There's a viral video on TikTok where someone poaches a chicken in a dishwasher. So they put the water in the glass, in the jar.
Well, their parents...
And put it on cycle. It doesn't work.
Their parents have absolutely failed.
You get a soapy chicken at the end.
I know an awful lot of mums who still do their kids' washing, particularly boys.
Yes,
So,
mothers and their
Isn't it part of the joy of coming home?
No, James.
Your mother still does yours.
So but she... But she likes it. She insists on doing it sometimes.
Okay.
What's her name?
Once a month. Ros Willis.
Ros.
She's lovely.
Ross,
She also,
tell him to do his own washing.
She also puts a blanket on my legs when I go home. Yeah.
Oh, OK, this is another whole segment. Hi, Ros. We've got a chat.
Yes.
Here's Sherv.